Yo, you know what it is, huh? It is Bishop Chronicles, y'all. I miss you guys so much. I apologize for not posting sooner. I have been on the run across the UK. You know what I'm saying? In a good way. In a good way. I've been having a good time. I've been in nature. I have been fasting from my phone, right? I haven't really been on my phone, y'all. I haven't really been on my phone. It's on right now because I just checked it to connect with a few people in America because it's really early in the morning here and I want to check in on some family and friends. But I've been phone fasting, right? We were just talking about joy. And one of the things that I did by design is when I did the last podcast on cultivating joy, I did not discuss with you the Stoic perspectives on joy and why the Stoics in general are happier than you right now. You're not that happy right now. Very few people are happy right now. And that's because things are unstable. That's because the political world, the social world, the economic world is in a mountain of turmoil, of absolute turmoil and chaos, and things look unstable for a lot of people. I'm having people reach out to me and they're like, yo, Dees, I'm finna lose my job, bro. What do you think? What should I do? Blah, 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 right? Unfun times for a lot of reasons. And so we're going to look at Stoic joy. Because they're like, man, why are you chilling so hard right now? You seem so cool. It's not because I'm in the UK. It's not because I'm in the UK, right? We just talked a few weeks ago. I have a cousin who passed away. I have other family members in the hospital. I have, I was sick a little bit ago myself. And just a few months before that, I had food poisoning and was down bad. Your boy was folded, right? And I've been trying to bounce back from that still, right? And so how is it that I maintain my joy? People are like, how are you happy through all of this? Let me tell you, because my happiness is not your happiness. My happiness is a Stoic curated happiness. So what does that mean? What does it mean that I have a stoically kind of curated happiness? First, let me break down one of the biggest misconceptions about Stoicism that I'm going to share with you right now because I was just asked about it, but it applies to this. Someone said, hey, man, let me ask you a question, man. Like, how do you, and he's a therapist. He says, how do you reconcile the Stoic lack of emotion, this emotionless thing that Stoics use on their journey, and how do you reconcile that with like just kind of getting through your day, blah blah blah? And I said, well, see, that's the misconception, that Stoics are emotionless. That's not what it is. So like, it's nothing to reconcile if you understand Stoicism, but if you think you understand Stoicism, then yes, it will appear like something to reconcile. The reality is this: Stoics' job is to feel everything. Everything. Anger, sadness, joy, fear, right? To the highest degree, and process why. Why am I so angry? Why am I so angry? Why am I afraid? Why am I feeling joy? Even to an extreme. Everything can be overdone. And then no matter how you feel, you are taught to make the most compassionate and wise and courageous and just decision irrespective of how you feel. So it's not so that you erase how you feel. It's not that you suppress how you feel. And that's what he said. He said it's a suppression of emotions. And it's not a suppression. It's an understanding and a mastery. And then you take the best action irrespective of how you feel. So your boss might be doing you wrong. Somebody at your job might be lying about you. But you're still going to make the most just, courageous, and wise decision. You're still going to do something in moderation. You're not going to be an extremist of any kind. Because it's not okay. Right? And so I said this misconception is the biggest, worst, and most consistent misunderstanding of Stoicism, period. Right? But let's look at Stoic joy. Let's look at Stoic joy and how it plays out, and let's look at like how it differs from the joy that you perceive. And notice, I did this last podcast deliberately because I want you in tune with yourself. I'm not saying that what I sent you in the last podcast is wrong in any way. It's right. You should be doing all of these things to cultivate your joy. But the definition of joy for a Stoic is different, right? There's this Latin phrase, and you don't have to really learn a lot of Latin when you're dealing with Stoic stuff, but obviously, they have all these different Latin phrases and Greek phrases, right? Eudaimonia, it means human flourishing, right? You know who I saw the other day? I saw William Mulligan. You should get this book, The Everyday Stoic, right? Simple rules for a good life. The difference between Stoic philosophy and other philosophies are the practices that the Stoics do. It's not just the ideas, right? Because look, I already told you, I'm Muslim, right? And I love Islam. And Islam has a lot of things in it that people don't know about. What do I mean when I say this? Like, for instance, there's a thing called Purification of the Heart. It is a beautiful book about how to look at what goes on in your emotional states and become better through these different practices. It's not necessarily the idea from a faith or philosophy that matters. What are the practices? How do you get consistent at a thing? Obviously, the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran say, don't steal, don't kill, don't this, don't that, right? 10 Commandments and all the other things that come within the paths, right? And you can get this from Buddhism, and you can get this from Hinduism and other things. But what is the practice that helps you cultivate that aspect? The thing I like about the Stoicism path is, for anything you're talking about, fear, sadness, overexpressions of joy, right? There are practices to do, right? And so eudaimonia is best translated as human flourishing. Happiness wasn't a state achieved by looking after yourself and fulfilling as many of your desires as possible. Instead, it was achieved by living within this triangle of actions. Let's take a look at this triangle of actions. Can y'all read that? Okay, let's take a look at it. And remember that my Greek/Latin is always trash. At the top of the pyramid, take responsibility. Are you taking responsibility for who you are, where you are, and your choices? This is crucial because, especially even me, man, when I came in, I was like, but so-and-so did, but so-and-so said, but the thing that they, right? And you have to own your actions. You have to own your ideas. You have to own the things that you've said and done, right? That's at the top. You have to take responsibility, right? You got to focus on what you control on the left side of the pyramid and live with arete, I think. Excellence. Let's talk about this excellence, right? Excellence or goodness, more specifically in this context, is excellence that comes from following the four virtues of Stoicism: wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. By following these virtues, the Stoics believe that you would naturally be putting yourself on the path of eudaimonia, human flourishing, because by encouraging wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation in your life and in the lives of those around you, you would discover that the inner peace and happiness comes from with natural human flourishing, right? This is crucial, man. So we're not basing our joy on outside people or events. You're cultivating it within. There was a funny video or a meme that was on IG years ago. It was a picture of Eddie Bravo, the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu guy, and it said he had kind of like an introspective face, and it said, when you recognize that happiness is an inside job. I've already talked to you about when I was with RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan, and he was giving a talk to these kids when we were in St. Louis, and he said, happiness is on you. You shouldn't need other people and things to be happy. And I remember at that time, this was 2007, 2008, no, it would have been, 2012 or something. I was like, I didn't understand what he meant because I was too reliant on other people and other things. I didn't understand it. I do now. That's the wisdom of the abbot of Wu-Tang, right? What William Mulligan says here is we cannot rely on externals for happiness, because if the external is gone, then so is the pleasure it provided us. But when we rely on things that are our own, such as wisdom, reason, integrity, and the love of truth. By nature, these things cannot be stolen from us. They are ours. It is not wise to rely on anything that can be given or taken from us. And that's why the Stoics are more happy than you. That's why those that follow philosophy are more happy than you. Because they are looking inward for their sense of joy, and they are doing consistent Stoic practices to have more wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation in their life. Balance in their life. People are extremists. We don't recognize how we are extremists in our day-to-day, right? So let's work on cultivating those 4 virtues, right? As we do those things that I just told you about in the last podcast, right? Don't forget about the dichotomy of control. Sometimes you're going to hear me say things over and over again. Why? Why am I saying them over and over again? Because you need to put them into practice, not just hear me say them. Because you need to do your own research and work, not just because I said it, right? So the dichotomy of control. What things do you control in this world? What things do you not control? You don't control much but yourself. That's the reality. You don't control how people feel about you. You don't control who loves you, who doesn't love you. You don't control how long you're going to keep your job. You don't. You don't control the state of your health, but you control your ability to work hard today and do a great job at your job. Even if you don't love it, you control your ability to not eat as much as you ate yesterday. Even if you want that extra croissant, even if you want that extra beer, even if you want to smoke and vape, right? You control the ability to say, you know what? I'm going to start chilling on that. You control the ability to say, I'm going to watch less Netflix. I'm going to get off my phone more and be in nature. That's what I did. And I had a great time. And I thought I was going to have a rough time not being on my phone. Everyone who knows me for real knows I've had a phone addiction for years. But what I was explaining to my cousin, because my cousin was like, oh, I need to do that. I need to do that too. I said, okay, cool. But think about this. It's not what you take away. It's what you add. It's not what you take away. It's what you add. He's like, well, what do you mean? I said, so it's not that you put the phone down, but that you go into nature. It's not that you say, I'm gonna take my phone away from my daily activities in general. It's that, what are you going to read? How are you going to work out? What foods will you eat? Right? So we're not eating mountainfuls of candy, and we're not, no. We're getting away from the phone, and we're cooking a healthy meal. We're getting away from the phone, and I'm going to have a conversation with a human I miss in real time, not on the phone. Right? I'm not getting on the phone, and I'm using that time to exercise. I'm using that time to take an online class. I'm taking that time to read about something that's important to me. I'm taking that time to get back to a hobby I've abandoned for nothing. Nothing. Right? The other thing you can do is practice negative visualization, right? Or what they call premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of adversity. So this means, and I still do this, right? Like, I have a really nice bed, and I love my bed. But you know what I do sometimes is I sleep on the floor with just a blanket. Sometimes I'll sleep on the floor without a blanket. Right? Because what would happen if you lost your bed? What would happen if you lost your house? You'd be on the sidewalk, probably without a blankie. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like right now, I'm eating salad as a salad with nothing on it. Nothing. Just tomatoes, lettuce, cucumber, just eating it, and I enjoy it. I remember when I first started doing that, I used to work at this high school in Berkeley, and my coworkers would see me eating a salad. They go, you ain't gonna put no ranch on that? You ain't gonna put no Italian? You ain't gonna put... No, because I'm just enjoying the salad as it is. Lettuce as lettuce, tomato as tomato, cucumber as cucumber. And I liked it. I liked it, right? Because what if you don't have all the special sauces that you like on your burger? What if you have what if you don't have all the extra things that you count on? How will you deal? It also builds compassion, because when you see people on the sidewalk, you go like, yeah, I know what it likes to feel that hip waking up when you've been sleeping on hard surfaces. You know what I'm saying? And you have compassion. You may give them something. excuse me, allergies. Um, and you may say, oh, I'm going to give something to the homeless, so you may buy that person some food, right? And I'm going to tell you to get back to journaling. I've been journaling a lot since getting off the phone so much, right? Writing about my ideas. Why do I think the way I think? Why do I feel the way I feel? Where's my joy coming from? What am I contemplating? And I'm doing the Stoic journaling, right? The very specific Stoic journaling, right? And this is important, right? So I want you to, hold on, allergies. This is proof I'm a nerd, right? Like you can think maybe you're not a nerd, but when you're sitting online, wiping your nose in the middle of a video with allergies, you know you're a nerd. And that's okay, right? So in conclusion, joy doesn't come from having what you want. It comes from wanting what you have, from gratitude and doing the right thing. I want you to do the right thing today. I want you to look up Stoic practices and choose one for you, right? Because everybody's not the same, man, right? Like one of you may need to work on conquering your fear. Another one knows you have anger issues and you want to look at Stoic solutions to cure anger. Another one may be in a state of grief because your heart has been broken, or you lost your job, or you don't know what you're going to do now that you got this degree and the economy looks pretty weird. So you can step into issues around fear. But here's the point. You have way more control in your life than you think. Way more. I want you to step into that. I want you to have a blessed day. I want you to have fun. I want you to send this to 2 people. And I'll be sending you a new video soon. I'm about to go run around the city of London real quick, get some things done with some people I love, and maybe go get some allergy meds. All right. Peace, y'all. Have a blessed one.